hope you're ready. This is going to be exciting.
And the guy restarts up and go. Green flag is out and we're underway.
Just a few laps into this. Oh, the 37's getting loose. Oh, and he saves it. Oh, they're going 3 wide.
We've got a 5-way fight for the win of this race coming to 4 laps to go. He's gonna win it here in spectacular fashion.
Welcome back to Belgium for round 5 of the Goat Locker Sports Car Series at the endurance masterpiece that is Spa. We've had 4 races to remember so far, but tonight the drivers might face their toughest challenge yet, the wet. With rain probable, the question will be who can handle the deluge and come home victors, and who's going to take a bath. We're all here to find out which drivers can reach the podium in their quest for the title. The GTPs and GTDs are set to take the green flag in just moments. This is the Goat Locker Sports Car Series presented by MK Fire Design right here on B-Speed, your #1 source for online coverage. I'm Ken Huber, and alongside me, I've got Eddie Smith, and he's also doing production, so double duty for him tonight. And then Dougie Beard will be providing the nice camera work tonight. Well, welcome back here, Eddie, for a little bit of endurance racing here at Spa.
Yeah, I mean, super disappointed to not be out there. It seems like it's going to be a fantastic race. What a great race for multi-class racing, a big old track, and man, it's going to be a lot of fun. Taking a look at the track right here. Well, if you don't know Spa, I don't know, man. That's a almost 4.5 mile track, 7 kilometers exactly. And, I mean, it's just a legendary track. It's got all kinds of twists and turns and uphill, downhill. You can see the elevation there, and 19 turns in total, and just a great mix of just all kinds of racetracks, and just a nice track to race on, I think, Ken.
I believe so. Well, the drivers are starting to line up, and we already have a pole sitter, our Jam Printing and Promotion pole sitter. Since forming in 2013, Jam has contributed printing and promotional sponsorships to more than 60 local nonprofits, with a primary focus on organizations that assist veterans, women, and children. They have been with Goat Locker since the very beginning. Local and veteran certified. When they do well, they do good in the community. And our pole award winner is Reagan Carty out there up front. No surprise there, but look at that. Brendan McDonald will start on his outside. Sammy Yosef will start in third, with Logan Threlkeld starting on his outside. Jamie Lipke will start 5th with Jason Kristen on the outside. Bill Molefield will start 7th, and then have Elijah Toth wrapping out your 8-car GTD field.
Well, in GT3 division, you're going to have Kahame Marietta with Austin Cobb. Going to be a great race between them tonight. Daniel Schmall and Joshua Jackson in 5th and 6th. Going to be Zachary Minnis with Timbo Parker in 6th. In 7th, John Houchin, Sedarius Days, Nicholas Myers, Honest Softic, J.R. Schomburg, and Alexander Sexauer. DJ Patterson and Brandon Ribeiro. And round out your field is going to be Corinne Smith and Brock Price.
So, as I mentioned at the opening of the broadcast here tonight, Eddie, is that rain is in the forecast, and I'm just looking at it right now. These drivers, we got a dry track currently. They had to practice a little bit in the wet, but I see rain clouds. It's intermittent rain, so we don't know how much rain we're going to get, but it looks like it's only about 15 minutes away. They're in the final chicane here. Pace car is going into pit lane. So this is a long drive down through here. The drivers get really antsy. This is the Grand Prix layout, so it's a long pit road. They actually won't get the green flag until after turn 1 coming up here. So they'll start going downhill up towards Eau Rouge, the first set of corners here. But they'll make this right-hander, and then we're about to turn them loose here for an hour of racing here between these two classes. And you can see there the pace car alongside there, just towing them along. Flagman is ready to start waving that green flag, and we are green, and the GTPs are away. Reagan Carty leading them, but Brandon McDonald with a heck of a start is going to take that corner right at the very start, put Brandon McDonald in the lead right away.
Into GT3s, they are away. Kahame Marietta gets out as they go up into that corner. Austin Cobb going to follow along, but Kahame with a big start to the race. Now side by side, Daniel Schmall.
Yeah, you can see Cobb there in that Corvette as well. So you can see Schmall going around, or trying to get around, but some great battle in there in the GT3 field as they went three wide. You can see that blue and black Corvette of our previous race winner there of Austin Cobb. And just behind him, you've got another race winner there of Joshua Jackson in that green and yellow Porsche.
We saw Kahame lose some positions there.
Yeah, Kahame is moved back to the third position there. Kind of struggling, it looks like, to hold on to that Porsche. It looks like Joshua Jackson now taking a look at the inside. Might have got up on the curbs there, got those tires a little wet. Currently, everybody's running on a dry tire. There is some wet spots out there because it rained early in practice, and so there is a little bit of puddling on the track. You can see it there. So if you get those tires there, but now we're looking back at the GTP field here. And it looks like we've got a nice battle here. It looks like a couple of those drivers. I want to say it's Bill Mulfield back there. No, just ahead of him. I'm sorry. That is... I'm actually not sure who I'm looking at. Oh, that was a replay. That's why.
Yeah, we're trying to go back and see what happened to your leader, Reagan Carty. See what's going on. But look at here. Contact between Brendan McDonald and Reagan Carty. Zarkin was trying to find out what happened as we were watching the GT3s. You can see a little bit of wetness maybe there. A little weird to see that so far.
Yeah, I think those drivers just driving really hard, really early in this race. That's going to put Samuel Joseph up front leading this thing in that Porsche. So Samuel Joseph currently leading the GTP field. How about that? But we'll have to see if Reagan Carty and Brendan McDonald can make their way back up. I don't think they harmed those cars. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. Currently looking at Sammy Joseph go down Kimmel Straight here, headed down towards Ravage there. So he has got a mirror full there of Reagan Carty. No, that's not Reagan. Yeah, that's Reagan Carty there in second, just behind him. And Reagan Carty now taking a look to the inside of Sammy Joseph as they get through Ravage. Now going to head downhill into the double apex left-hander coming up here. And so Reagan Carty back up front leading this thing. So Reagan Carty was, I guess, the bigger winner of that battle between him and Brendan McDonald. Brendan McDonald still sitting back there in fourth.
Yeah, trying to get the theme a little bit acted up here tonight. So trying to work on that just a little bit. But, yeah, I mean, pretty wild start so far, Ken. It's kind of been all over the place. I mean, even for me, I'm struggling here to get this thing rolling.
Yeah, well, you do your thing, and I'll do my thing. We'll talk about these cars. I'm looking back at the GT3 field right now. That first place, Daniel Schmall, currently in the 212. Doing a great job in that BMW. So Daniel Schmall has moved up to the first position. He's got Austin Cobb back there. We're currently still watching Samuel Joseph in that GTP. Just lost the lead to Reagan Carty. Reagan Carty will lead this lap, it looks like. And you can see there that silver Porsche of Samuel Joseph. He's having a solid night, though. So, you know, don't want to count out Samuel Joseph. But I see Brandon McDonald now making a pass. Brandon McDonald, another mistake. Coming out of turn one there. Spins that John Deere machine around. Oh, he is losing a bunch of time. You know, Eddie, I had a lot of faith in Brandon McDonald tonight because he was so fast in the rain. We knew Reagan Carty was fast, but here we're going to take another look at it. Goes into turn one, gets up on those curves, maybe got those tires wet, and just loops that thing around. So, and it took him a while to get that thing going. So he is nearly the last car in that GTP field. He's currently running seventh out of 8 cars there. So looking at the back of Bill Mulfield just ahead of him. back on Samuel Yosef here. So Samuel Yosef here still in second, trying to hold off Elijah Toth there. Elijah Toth and Reagan Carty are teammates, I believe. You can tell it by the two similar liveries on both those GTPs up there. They're both driving Cadillacs. Cadillacs have been bad fast here, but the Porsches are no slouch. I'll tell you what, the Porsches and Cadillacs have seemed to dominate pretty much all season. We got a couple of Hondas out there. I call them Hondas, but they're Acuras actually. Acuras out there, but they haven't shown any real pace so far, although Jamie Lipke, currently running in the 4th position in those GTPs, is doing a solid job.
Yeah. All right, we are back. My goodness, for me at least. Sorry about that, Ken. I was trying to get this thing figured out, and it was just not working with me.
It's all right. I've been having some my own issues here with some of the details here. So, hey, when it rains, it pours. No pun intended here, because I was just getting ready to look at the radar. So I'm looking at the radar right now, Eddie, and we got rain about 10 minutes away maybe. But the thing about it is it's really scattered. So it could remain dry, and we could just get a little dusting of rain, and it's really going to affect the strategy here, I think. As we're still watching for this second place battle here in the GTD field, still got Toth trying to get around Samuel Yosef. Samuel Yosef doing a solid job holding on to it. But another battle, Eddie, behind that is Logan Threlkeld. He's trying to fend off 4 different GTPs right now. So Logan Threlkeld, I was just watching him go through. See him right now in that red and white GTD. Got those 4 cars behind him, all trying to hunt him down. So Logan Threlkeld trying to get back on the podium tonight. Didn't have the week he wanted last week, so trying to get up there tonight. But he's got his hands full currently.
Yeah, he's already had an issue sitting off the track earlier. And it does seem like the track is wet, Ken. It seems like you can see the spray kind of pop up. And I just don't think we're seeing the rain. So I don't know if the track was already wet. It doesn't look wet, but you could see there's puddles and stuff everywhere. So I think that's where the start of the race was kind of goofy for a lot of guys, because they were just maybe either not prepared or what, because it does seem like there's spray every once in a while, but obviously not enough to be having rain tires on at this point.
Yeah, we had some pre-practice rain, and that's where you're seeing that rain from. And so when we started practice, everybody was out there on rain tires getting some practice in, but the track is almost dried out except for those little spots that you can see as we're watching now back at the GT3 battle. But track is drying out, but like I said, it could start raining here anytime.
Well, to go back to the GT3s as we get myself collected, trying to fix the issues that were popping up. We got everything working now. So we watched Daniel Schmall, who's now out front in front of Kiame, and this has been surprising. I mean, Austin Cobb, it's funny how this works. It's almost like a domino effect in these series like this. Is Austin Cobb came in here, was kicking butt, and then Kiame comes in, and then all of a sudden is doing just the same. Actually had a fantastic race last week, and then now here we go. Daniel Schmall, another new driver who's out front and pacing the GT3 field. So a lot of really good talent coming in, some guys that I'm sure we're thinking, I might be able to win some races this season, as now continues to kind of be further and further away as this GT3 series, while the GTPs have been all Reagan Carty for the most part, except for last week where Brendan McDonald was able to get it done. But for the most part, Reagan has been extremely fast. But this GT3 series has just gotten more and more competitive each week.
Yeah, the GT3 series has been a whole lot of fun to watch. And we kind of covered, the first 10 minutes or so with the GTPs while we got situated with the broadcast here. But now we're back on these GT3s. And what a battle we have here for the first place here. Daniel Schmall, you said it, seeing these different drivers rise to the occasion. And I think another thing that happens here is when we get the different weather situations, it impacts drivers more than, say, others. I was noticing during practice, for example, we talked about Reagan Carty being really fast, but Brendan McDonald was super fast in the rain, looking at the overall speeds. And it wasn't until the track dried out where Reagan Carty really started showing some speed. So it'll be interesting to see if it does start raining, who's got the Machas. We're watching a pass for the lead right now there, Eddie. and it looks like it's gonna happen there. Oh, almost gets into the back there of Kahame, but able to clear that car, and now Kahame can maybe stretch out his legs a little bit, but Kahame is currently leading this thing.
Yeah, great pass, great setup, great execution. Daniel, I think, was pretty easy about it and knew that it was Yame was going to get it, kind of let him go, tried to turn back down behind him. But I think we'll see these guys maybe follow each other's toe for a while as you can see Reagan Carty set the fastest lap of the race. But I'd be curious if Daniel's able to keep up with him or not. I mean, last lap, 7/10 faster was Kiame, so maybe the tires starting to get heated up as we're 10 minutes into this thing, and now start to see him start to make a little gap here. But it just depends on how well the draft is, how much Daniel can kind of stay in that tow. Already, though, down 0.6 of a second.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I'll be really interested, watching the weather as well. Another thing is fuel strategy. We're currently running 60% fuel. At the start of the season, we were running 50%. And that meant that the GT3s could only go, depending on the track, basically halfway. But now they can make it over halfway. So it's definitely only a one-stop race for the GT3s. The GTPs, they were almost a two-stop all season long. And now the GTPs are looking at a single stop perhaps. It's going to be really iffy on most tracks. I think this track would be a two-stop race for these GTPs. That said, if it starts raining, that could make it down to a one-stop because you really don't use a lot of fuel here, Eddie, if you're racing in the rain.
See some GTPs here. Samuel Joseph, Elijah Toth working through some GT3 traffic already in this one. Toth was right to the back bumper, but Samuel was able to get away a little bit. But yeah, I feel like, it's just navigating the track right now, and everybody's kind of gotten, where those puddles are. I mean, you have to that's a beautiful thing about racing or in the rain and the way iRacing has implemented it is that, there are wet spots on this track, especially when the rain does come, that you have to actually change your line a little bit. As if there's puddles there where the normal racing line might be, if it pulls right next to the curbing or whatever, you have to kind of make a change, an adjustment, drive around it, where you have those. I think a full wet track is kind of boring, and I think a full dry track's boring. But I think what we have right now is just a little bit mix of both, about 80% dry, 20% wet, maybe a little bit less than that. But those wet spots can be dangerous, like we've already seen. So I think it's really important that you find where the grip is and go where that's at. Even if you think, okay, this is the line, maybe take a little wider entry or wider exit just to avoid that rain. But hey, I cannot wait to see it fall and see what these guys do, see what strategy it starts to employ as they go up through on Rouge. And boy, that's a lot of fun to watch them go through there.
Yeah, well, I'm sure that there's some drivers out there that aren't with you hoping for that rain. So, I was just, while you were talking there, just taking another look at the radar there. This is something I like to do. I like to be the weatherman. So we are looking maybe just a few minutes away now from some possible sprinkles. It doesn't look like heavy rain. So just like you said, Eddie, this could be one of those situations where we put a little bit of moisture on the track. Guys are going to have to make those tough decisions where you come in, maybe take wets, maybe try to stay out and hang on to it. Of course, a lot of the drivers, unless they got a live spotter, they can't see this radar that I'm looking at. So they don't know when it starts raining how much rain we're actually going to get. So, you're out there taking a risk. You want to stay out there as long as possible because you really lose a lot of time on wet tires. Almost 25 seconds a lap here at Spa is what you'd be set back by when you start driving on wet tires.
Yeah, and it's always such a tough call. When do I come down and take wets? There was a time last season or 2 seasons ago where we were racing. Oh, you start to see a little bit of rainfall here, kid.
Yeah, there it is. There it is. A little bit of sprinkles started.
This track's big enough that it could rain on one part of the track and be dry on the other, which I think will be another really fun way of dealing with it. For sure, because you see it's not raining here, but sprinkles on the other side of the track.
Yeah, no, you're right, and it's raining down on the southern half of the track, and it does look like we are going to get the rain throughout the track. Just looking at this, but it does look very light, and so it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to rain here lightly for a while, which means I have a feeling that they are going to have to come down and put on wet. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, the call when to do that is it's the $1 million question, and you know, I was going to allude to the fact that I did have a race where it was raining and it stopped raining at the beginning of the race, so the track was just completely wet, and we got a sort of a dry line, and I think somebody came down pit road, told me that they put on dries. They actually put wets back on. So I go down, and they say, oh, yeah, it feels great. Went and put dries. The track looked dry, but we went out there, and, boy, it was not dry. So when to make that call is very, very important, as we've got a side-by-side battle for the GT3 lead. Schmal gets to the outside of that corner, not able to make it happen. Kiame defending perfectly there, but, man, Daniel Schmal all over the back bumper.
Well, you know, it was funny. Right before it started raining, we were watching Kiame kind of stretch out that lead over that BMW Schmal. But as soon as it started raining, that BMW just reeled that Porsche back in, and there he is all over the back bumper there. You know, and these guys are racing open setups. This is another tricky portion of the track. They're going through the kink here. So they're running probably a little bit less downforce on these cars. So not only are they having to deal with a slightly wet track, they have to be very careful going through these high-speed sections. And they're going to go through this chicane. It looks like Schmal's looking for any way he can to find to disadvantage Kiame just ahead of him there. Couldn't quite get it done there. They're going to cross the start-finish line there as they head into turn one.
Yeah, that's a great point. And, you know, that setup can make a difference. You know, if we get enough rain, did you set your car up to, you know, race a little bit better in the rain? You have a little bit more downforce. You know, if you're racing sort of a normal wet set, I would imagine just based on the forecast, you wouldn't do that. But, you know, somebody could find a lot of speed in the rain if we get enough precipitation that the track gets wet enough that you can take advantage of that. Because these guys, if they have a little bit lower downforce, will definitely be at a massive disadvantage if the track becomes really, really wet. See a little flash in here is Daniel Schmal trying to give Kiame something to think about. He's going to go to the left side. Almost got there. Kiame going to shut the doors. Man, this battle for the lead is just awesome in the GT3 class.
Yeah, no, I think he's trying to put a little bit of pressure on him there, just trying to get Kiame to drive in his mirror there, and that's kind of the secret here to road course racing. Just get that guy focused on the mirror instead of the track ahead of him, and hopefully he makes a mistake and he can get around. You can see a little bit of moisture coming off those tires there. It doesn't look like it's raining back here as they went through Ravage. They're going through 10 and 11 right now, the double apex left-hander there. You can see a little bit of rain. Look at the rear tires on that Porsche there. You can see a little bit of spray coming off there, and these guys are on slicks, so you know it's a little bit edgy right now.
Yeah, look at those puddles right there on the curbing. You can see they are, for the most part avoiding that almost completely, and that's exactly what you want to do. You don't want to be hydroplaning. These slick tires do not do well there as they are coming up on the lap car of, well, I can't see who that is, but it's
it looks like a Sedarius Days. Yeah.
Back up in the GTP, though, Ken, we've still got this battle between Samuel Joseph and Elijah Toth. Joseph pulls away a few minutes, ago.
Hey,
and
you gotta leave the butchering names to me. Come on, man.
No, my brain is completely fizzled tonight. Look, Samuel Joseph doing a great job. I mean, he is unbelievable. I've said this many times on different series, but his sort of explosion in the road course series has been really impressive. He has been unbelievably fast. Only about 6 months or so on iRacing. He's up here racing with who I consider some of the best drivers as they go around a GT3 car. But Samuel Joseph has been really, really incredible. I think his racecraft has gotten a lot better, and we'll find that out just really soon. But as far as just raw speed, he's definitely got it.
Yeah, he definitely does, and he's able to hold off Toth. And, Toth is a really strong driver there, so Samuel Joseph really showing some good speed. But I just looked back behind him. I see that John Deere machine coming up, and, he's had some struggles, had a couple of incidents at the start of this race. That's Brendan McDonald there, last week's winner, and he's running back, trying to run down both Toth and Joseph there. And Brendan McDonald was super fast in the rain, and I'm looking at the radar now, Eddie, and I think it's going to rain here for about 5-10 minutes. I think we are looking at maybe some pit stops coming up here within another couple of laps. I don't think the track is going to be suitable for these slicks too much longer.
Yeah, I think, and Brendan McDonald is...
Speaking of which, Toth just went around. So, yeah, that's those slicks out there in the rain, just loses the rear end of that car. No, it didn't hit anybody, but that allowed Brandon McDonald to go by. So Brandon McDonald moved him up as we're watching Jamie Lipke bring her car down onto pit road in the GTD to put on those, what I would assume, wet tires.
Yeah, Bill Mulfield, Jason Christen, and Lipke down on pit road right now. Nicholas
Yosef
Myers
just went around. Sorry for interrupting, but Yosef just spun around. So
yeah, we were wondering how long that rain would call it to be effective, and so far it looks like the GTPs are super effective, and that makes sense, doesn't it, Ken? The GT3s can handle it a little bit better, but just the amount of downforce that these cars are using to get around these corners.
Reagan around. Reagan spins it. Oh, he saves it, but off in the sand, loses the rear end. He's trying to nurse that thing. I'm sorry, Eddie, for constantly interrupting you, but I wanted to go back and see how Reagan was doing with the rain on those slicks, and not so good, but a little bit better than the other drivers behind him.
Yeah, and it's just the way these cars drive, and you put slicks on rain, and the way that they go through the corner, you have to baby these cars now. Where the GT3s can get away from it, these cars cannot. You can see here comes Regan down on pit road, obviously coming down to put wets on that bad boy because it is slick out there.
And something else, Eddie, and I'm sure you're familiar with it, is now that you're on pit lane and you're thinking, I can get tires on it, but you're on those slicks. Another really difficult thing to do is to hit your pit box when you're on slicks. And the pit lane is wet. It is very difficult to hit your box.
Watch Regan Carty getting you down that long pit road. Boy, it is frustratingly long. It seems like you should be able to get out of there, but you have to go down through 2 pit lanes to actually get to your stall. So it just takes such a long time. But I think definitely for the GTPs, that was the right call. But we're starting to see GT3s down on pit road as well, as Kiame, Marietta, Austin Cobb, Zachary Menace, Timbo Parker all on pit road to get their wet tires on.
Well, oh no. So our leader in the GT3 field has spun out into the wall, it looks like. So Schmall, he stayed out when everyone else was pitting, and he just spun it again. He's having some struggles getting that BMW going. It stayed out maybe 1 lap too long, and he's going to pay the price for that. That's unfortunate because he was so strong there at the start of this race. Really thought he had something for Kiami. But you never know. That driver of that Porsche might have similar issues. Oh, we got cars spun around in front of him. I believe that was Sedarius Days. Yeah, it was Sedarius. So, yeah, lots of problems out there in the rain for these drivers.
Well, we got some brave souls still out there. You got Schmall, who we've watched been in a couple times. But Logan Threlkeld in the GTP class is still out there, muscling it around here. Has yet to come down to pit road. So what's the call there?
Don't know. Logan might have did a lot of practicing in the rain for being on slicks and kind of hoping maybe it wasn't going to rain too hard and he could stay out there. And it's not a bad strategy, but if he can't see the radar, I think the track is lost at this point. I don't think we'll get it back. I think we're going to be on rain tires for the rest of the race. And so the longer he stays out there on the slicks, there he goes off into the sand. But what I was going to try to say is the longer he stays out there on slicks, the more time he's going to give up. And I think he's definitely going to have to bring it down to pit road this time. And he's got Reagan Carty only like 20 seconds now behind him. And Reagan Carty will assume the lead. And Reagan Carty's on the wet tires.
Yeah, you can see there on the left side of the screen who's still on dries and who's still on wets. And Schmall is still out there, kid. We thought he was going to come down pit road at that point, but has yet to do it. So
well, I don't think he's. It's a big track, Eddie. I don't think he's made it to the pit road entrance since the last time we had the camera on him. He might. Yeah, I think he's been out there suffering with that BMW. So he's moved back quite a ways. So Schmall, what position is he in?
There they go. Yeah. Perfect timing. Here they come down pit road to get those wets on. So this will pretty much, once JR comes down as well, that will pretty much put the whole top 10 in each class on the wet tires. And I'm sure these guys right here are just thrilled to be down here and get some of those wet tires. But it's been a lot of fun. It shook a whole, it shook a lot of things up so far, and that's been a lot of fun to watch. But everybody's got the wet tires on. I think you're right. I don't think we'll see the track dry out. I think everybody will be on wets. And honestly, it seems like everything has sort of been status quo here. Is Daniel Schmall down pit road in the GT3 class. Joshua Jackson down as well, so that should give the lead over to Kiame, who came down first and made the call when he did, which turned out to be probably the right one.
Yeah, I'm just watching J.R. Schomburg head to pit road there, Eddie. He was the last car, it looks like, out there on the slicks, trying to stay out there. Bringing that Porsche in. I thought he was going to lead a lap. Couldn't quite get it there, but, he made a valiant effort. We didn't catch any spins from him, so at least he is one of those drivers that, as far as I know, is able to keep it on the track on the racing slicks there out in the rain. So, but he's going to give up those positions gained here to get those rain tires on.
Well, up front.
Anyway, back up. Well, I guess we read our minds look the same, I guess, at that point. But back up front, Reagan Carty re-inherited the lead there after all that. He has got a sizable gap now over second place. Brendan McDonald, who's moved back up into second place. Remember, I talked about this, Eddie, at the top of the broadcast. I liked the way Brendan McDonald was driving in the rain. So I don't know if he can make up 17 seconds, though. We'll have to wait and see. But another interesting tidbit here is we got 34 minutes to go, and they're racing in the rain. And normally these GTPs don't get the greatest fuel mileage, but I think at this point they might not have to stop again, or they might. So it could be maybe, I don't know, it's kind of iffy. I don't think the GT3s will have to stop, but the GTPs, it's hard to say.
Well, and if the track dries up enough, which I think we both are convinced that, even with that little bit of rain, the track was already kind of damp, that was enough to kind of keep you to the end. And Ken, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but usually what I hear is when you see spray, you need wet tires on. That's usually a pretty good indicator.
And that's kind of what I judge it by, too. When I'm out there racing and it starts raining, I start looking in the mirror and seeing how much spray the car is giving off. And that's kind of a really good indicator. Once I see the three trails of spray coming off the rear of the car, I'm usually headed to pit lane.
Well, and when it's not, when it rains just a little bit, it starts to dry up. There's still a time where wet tires, even on a dry track, are still just as fast. They kind of come together and then pass each other. Once the tires dry up, the wet tires, start to wear out, and the times slow down a little bit. And the wet, if you try to go out on slicks, you're going to be running similar times or slower. Obviously, trying to keep the thing on the track, and then it becomes a point where those dry tires will actually pass and be faster, and it can happen really, really fast. But I just don't think with just 30 minutes left, I just don't see that happening with how wet the track is at the moment. But that would be a really cool way to end this race, is have about 10 minutes of dry track and see who will take the gamble and try to make up 20 seconds if it's possible on the dry tire. A lap. The best laps these guys are running, Regan Carty, his last lap was a 2-minute 27-second lap. His best lap was a 2-minute 3. So there is a lot of time out there if it does dry up, and if somebody's willing to do it, is he's got some GT3 cars slow and trying to maneuver around them.
Yeah, and you definitely need to know where on the track it's starting to dry up too, because there's certain sections of the track where you can get away with a dry tire in the wet, and then other sections of the track that it just won't work. Some of the painted areas, you definitely want to keep off the painted areas. Even with the wet tires, you got to be really careful. I'm watching the leader of the GT3 field, who's opened up quite a gap there, Cam Marietta. He is back there in that Porsche. We're watching another car. I think that's
that issue for Elijah. Yeah. Take a look and see what happened to him. Running in that third position, had some sort of incident. He's coming down pit road with a meatball flag, so we'll see what happened to Elijah here. On the V-Speed. Oh, yeah, you got some of that paint like what you were talking about, Ken.
Yeah, you definitely got to keep it off the paint, but I don't see any damage to that car, so why is he on pit lane? I wonder if he's got a...
Not yet.
Oh, okay, we're not there yet. Okay.
I may have not been. He's definitely got some damage, so he's got a meatball flag, which is... So I don't know how he got that damage, maybe running off course, damaged the underbody, but it was enough to get him a meatball, which is different than a normal black flag. iRacing says, hey, you've got too much damage. You've got to come in and fix this. You can't stay out on track. So, he's going to come down. He comes down and takes his fast repair, and he's away, but he's in 7th now in the GTP field.
Yeah, some of these top drivers having some really struggles. Back to what I was starting to talk about here, Elijah. He was having some, not Elijah, but Kiami Murarita. he was having some issues getting that Porsche around. He's in front by about 14 seconds over Austin Cobb. He's last week's race winner. They're doing a solid job out there tonight. You know, one of our drivers, Daniel Schmall, had issues there, and with that BMW that we all seen there with the struggles of staying out there on the slick. So, you know, Kayame has opened up a sizable lead over Austin Cobb, and he's actually continuing to open up that gap. And you know, Eddie, I've raced at Spa quite a bit in the rain, and I actually really like the Corvette in the rain here. But man, I got to say, Kahame is really laying down the rubber in that Porsche and just starting to really gap Austin Cobb at the moment.
Whoa! And so we talk of the broadcaster curse. You go, wow, what a save! Unbelievable.
Well,
I thought he was dead, and he came out. I mean, he came out alive. You know, the Angels are singing, and Kayame continues on as we broadcaster cursed him, and he was able to hang on to it. Wow, what a save!
Well, I can tell you that Austin Cobb's probably looking at his relative right now. He's like, oh, man, I just gained, 7 seconds there. I wonder what happened. Hopefully that happens again. So it gives Austin Cobb a chance to where you can get, there's hope. There's hope that he'll make another mistake. And we're watching Sammy Yosef there in third place in the GTD go by there. So Sammy Yosef able to get a recovery done after a couple of spins out there in the rain. So hanging on to a podium so far.
Yeah, I was about to say before that happened, I like the Porsche in the rain just for the engine on the back, which gives you that extra little bit of traction that you might need. But in Eau Rouge, when you're going up there, you got the elevation changes, that back end gets light, and that's what happens. We've got somebody spinning. I think that's Sedarius Days back there, spins out in that Mustang. And I can tell you, from my personal experience, the Mustang is awful in the rain. So completely different, all the weight in the front, just such a frustrating way to race where the Porsche just has that little bit extra that helps you get the traction off the corners. But Dave's been struggling here in the rain. As we go check in on Daniel Schmall in the GT3, he's been able to recover just a little bit, just got around John Houchin, now back in the top 5 of the GT3 class. So what could have been a disastrous night with that contact with the wall when it started raining actually has recovered nicely. Not battling for the lead, but he could get maybe back up in the top 3.
Well, yeah, and the track's still wet, so anything could happen. He could find himself in the podium. Some of our other drivers running up front have issues like we've seen so far. So having a solid job, doing a solid job. Like I said, if he hadn't stayed out there the extra lap, he'd probably still be out there battling for that first place position. But, sometimes when it rains, it pours, as they say. Hey, while I'm talking about that, Eddie, why don't we talk about the GLR web store? I know that's a great place. It really helps out Goat Locker Racing, but support the sport and the mission with Goat Locker Racing at the glrwebstore.com. Guys, you'll find quality racing apparel, hats, and gear, and every purchase supports veterans, active military, and first responders. The order helps fuel our mission and fight back against mental health challenges facing our community. Great gear, real purpose. Visit glrwebstore.com. And I've got some stuff myself there, Eddie, from the web store.
Yeah, I do too. I just got my pit crew shirt in as well. So a couple different things you can do to help. How can I support Goat Locker? I just watch. I don't really race, or I race and I want to support, but I don't really know what to do, or I don't want to, race control or something like that. Well, Goat Locker's a nonprofit. They are supported by donations, businesses making donations, and also an amazing grant from the Indiana Department of Veteran Affairs. But if you want to know how can I support Goat Locker, if you enjoy it, if you like what you see, if you like the mission, then the GLR web store is a great way of supporting the mission, or joining the GLR pit crew, where you can pay $20 a month and join a really cool thing where you can support them every month, and that allows them to have the funds they need to do really, really cool stuff outside of sim rigs in Indiana because of that amazing grant. But they want to do things outside of Indiana and veterans all over the country, and the GLR pit crew and the GLR web store is how you do that. And so all of that goes into setting these sessions up, giving equipment out to veterans and first responders. No longer is it just military veterans. Now we've completed it with Honest Softic, who was in the race tonight, who is DNF'd, had a rough first race, but our first policeman to receive a sim rig. So now it is a warrior organization for sure. Supporting his old Daniel Schmall goes off track, almost saves it. Very close there, as here comes John Houchin, another sim rig recipient, going to try to take advantage of that in that Porsche.
You know, we're good because you don't even have to move the cameras for the incidents out there, Eddie. We're just on them all the time. So not much that we're having to do over replay tonight, which is always nice that you don't have to go back and track that down. But, yeah, he's going to have to gather that back up. But Schmall still having a solid night, but he's back now in the 6th position. Houchin got around him, and I don't know. Schmall's looked at the back of a Porsche before, so probably familiar sight there. He could probably work on that here in the future. Another driver that we haven't talked about, though, Eddie, is Timbo Parker, currently running 4th in the GT3 series. He's kind of in between a couple of battles right now, kind of running all by himself. But I want to give him a shout out because, like I said, we haven't talked about him all night. Having a quiet night, running in 4th. Must have did the right thing during the pit cycle there. Yeah, having a solid night, really.
Yeah, you know, what I love about the rain, Ken, is it kind of highlights those who may not have like raw speed sometimes, but can take care of their car. I think that doesn't get highlighted enough in some of these series because speed is just, you know, obviously the end all be all. The faster you are, the better you're going to finish. But when it's dry, it you know, you can really push the limits of the car and you take chances a lot. But in the rain, it kind of equalizes that out. We still have the faster drivers. Regan's still leading the race. Kiame still leading his class. But we start to see some drivers mosey up towards the front who just don't make a whole lot of mistakes. And I think the rain really, really appreciates drivers who can avoid those.
Yep. And, you know, I don't always enjoy racing in the rain, but when it's random and you can see a forecast coming and it's something you have to deal with, rain could be a lot of fun. And like you talked about too, Eddie, is having the transition, you know, where it transitions back to a dry track or transitions into a wet track. And then you have to strategize when you're going to put the wet tires on and how your fuel mileage is going to go, all that stuff. That actually is a lot of fun. You start playing chess out there, and instead of just raw horsepower and speed, you know, you start doing a little bit of gamesmanship and trying to figure out what everybody else is doing.
I couldn't agree more. I think that is such a great point. And I think that's where the rain shines. It's just being able to have the transitions, which I think Tim Jones, who runs this series, did a great job tonight of giving the drivers some rain, but let it not be completely soaked, which are just completely unfun, or just completely dry, which, you know, some people say is fun. But I love the transition. iRacing has done just a fantastic job, and we're seeing sort of the product, the chaos of it, you know, just the decision making. Because a lot of these races, especially sim racing, it's such a you know, a lot of times you kind of know what's going to happen before it happens on a dry track. So as many variables as you can add, it just makes it so much more interesting, at least from a viewer perspective, a broadcast perspective.
Absolutely. Well, looking back here, looking at Schmall right now, he's continuing to try to make up that position there on John Houchin there in the 66 Porsche. All over the back bumper. We've seen him do this before with Kiame. But this is actually the battle for the 5th position now as they head down into the last final couple of corners here, the high-speed corners. And this has got to be scary. I've done it before, but it is when you come this kink right here, Eddie, there isn't a lot of weight. You can see it. This is exactly what I was talking about. The rear end just wants to step out. And Houchin almost loses that Porsche to the wall and almost a victim there. But so Daniel Schmall has moved back up into that 5th position. I'm sure he's going to be shaking those drawers out. Oh, he's headed to pit lane, so I think there might be a little bit of damage on that Porsche. We're going to go back and take another look.
I want to watch it from the in-car cam, because that was terrifying as he just locks the brakes up, which just kind of loses all control of the car. And so he's going to come down pit road, try to get that. And I was about to talk about John, who, like we said, is a sim rig recipient. He has, man, what an improvement he's had. And he was running fast lap times at rival Kahame. So John Houchin making a lot of strides in his sim racing career, starting once he got his sim rig from Goat Locker Racing, and has been putting in the work, obviously. And he was really, really running good there. But It just doesn't take but just a little mistake for something to go wrong. But he's still having a great race nonetheless. He's going to come down pit road, get some of that damage fixed, and get back out there.
Yeah, there's nothing to be ashamed of. And this is all part of learning. He's done that now, and he probably won't do it again. That's going to stick with him for a long time, and he's going to remember Spa for that. He's going to I'm going to remember that corner, especially when it's wet. And so next time he's back out here, I'm sure he won't make that mistake again. That's how we all learn. And doing a fine job out there, of course. Man, back up front, though, talking about the GTDs, we haven't talked about them in a while, though. Reagan Carty has set sail once again. He's got a 44-second gap over second place Brandon McDonald, who has a nice recovery himself after a couple spins here early in that race and getting into the back of Reagan Carty. But Brandon McDonald running second. Reagan Carty continued to dominate. It looks like Daniel Schmall just behind. He goes into that same wall that Hochin went into. So I think that's the same area of the track there. Yep. And so I wonder if he's going to have to come down and get that car fixed. No, it's a different area of the track there, Eddie. It's before the S's. So different section, but probably some damage on that BMW.
Yeah, that track just changing enough that you don't know where to run, where to go. And now we see a lot of folks driving off the track here as we got a battle for third in the GT3 class starting to pick up with Timbo Parker starting to run down Zachary Menace, who's somebody we haven't talked about yet. As you can see, good Lord, Timbo Parker driving that thing down in there, making up a ton of time as you got a GTP coming up from behind him.
It's our leader.
Yep. So
Reagan Carty back there in the GTDs. There he goes.
Yeah, Zachary, we haven't really talked much about tonight, but he's been quietly running in third. Timbo's been slowly reeling him in, but he has had a great race so far. Another Porsche that seems to have it going on, just keeping it together, not having too many incidents. And although it does seem like he's missing his front bumper, so maybe not the greatest. Or is that just paint? I can't tell. I don't know what's going on there.
Well, speaking of paint, I was going to say he's got a nice livery, and you know who else makes nice liveries? And that's Zach Graphics. And, I got to always talk about our sponsors here because it makes things possible for these broadcasts and things like that. But Zach Graphics is your goal is to be your preferred source for signs, embroidery, silk screening, promotional products, trade show displays, and other graphics. Zach Graphic takes the headaches out of promoting your business or organization's image by providing one-stop shopping for all your graphic services. We believe the best way to achieve this goal is to have meaningful relationships with our customers. That's Zach Graphics, and they've been here with us road course racing here for a couple seasons now. And, I always got to give them a shout out because we really appreciate having all these sponsors on board with us.
I do believe Zachary Menace is missing his front bumper. It's hard for me to really see. I mean, something is missing off that thing. How in the world is he making that work?
I don't know. That's the nice thing about the rain, though. So, if we were out here in the dry, that probably wouldn't work too well. Oh, we put the cameras on people, and they just things start going wild out there. But yeah, missing that front clip, but able to hold off a hard charger back there behind him of Timbo Parker. So we'll see. Timbo's closing back in, and this is a high speed section of the course here. This is where we've seen who was that lost it? I can't even remember. That was Schmall that lost it. And that was Hochin that lost it in here, in the Porsche. So through this high-speed kink, this very next corner up here, you have to be very careful. Now, being that he doesn't have a front bumper on this thing, I'm sure there isn't a lot of downforce on the nose of that Porsche right now, but we'll see if he can keep up.
I can't tell if it's like a visual bug because it just seems like he's doing all right. But, yeah, maybe once it dries out, he'll start to feel a little bit more. But, honestly, he's driving fantastic with that issue. So, great job by Zachary Menace. And he's only about 4.3 seconds back from Austin Cobb, who Austin is having some sort of issue right here, and that allowed Zachary Menace to catch up just a little bit. So these guys aren't really too far back from Austin Cobb in second.
Yeah, Cobb, it's funny you just mentioned Cobb currently running in second. He's had some struggles out here tonight, and to be in second currently it's a fine job he's doing in that Corvette. And you remember, Eddie, I talked about the Corvette being a preferred car for me out here in the rain, but I don't know if he's going to have anything for Kame before the end of this race because he is quite a ways back there right now. So it looks like he's 22 seconds behind. But we're watching this battle right now, and it looks like Timbo Parker now on the outside. It's not the preferred way around, and it looks like Zachary Minnis is going to hold on to that at least for now. Another high-speed portion of the track, and I'm sure that's what's slowing that Porsche down.
Kame out to a 22-second lead over second place Austin Cobb, and you got Reagan Carty 45 seconds ahead of second place in the GTP class. And so the guys out front are just unbelievable, but there's a lot of really good battles going on like this one right here where Timbo Parker trying to take over that third position. Logan Threlkeld and Jamie Lipke kind of get close to each other every once in a while. But Jamie gets about a second away and then just really can't keep that gap as Logan starts to pull away a little bit more, and then they'll close it back up. So it's, possibly traffic just trying to navigate this ever-changing track conditions. But we may see some really good battles toward the end of this thing, just depending on how it all plays out. 14 minutes left in this thing.
Yeah, Jamie has been really solid in the GTDs here this season as well. We're looking back at her car right now, trying to chase down Logan Threlkeld, another solid driver in the GTP. Now, Logan is sitting there just ahead there, that black and red car just in the top of your, or bottom of your screen right there. There's Logan Threlkeld. So that's the difference there of about 2.7 seconds currently that Jamie Lipke is trying to run down. But Logan Threlkeld, another one of those solid drivers in the GTD field. And, I've said this before, as long as if you're running consistent like this and you're fairly fast, eventually those wins and podium finishes are going to come. And Logan Threlkeld has had some podium finishes already this season. So it's not that he's unfamiliar with it, but tonight he's really going to have to turn on the afterburners if he's going to chase down Sammy Yosef, which is another 7 seconds or so ahead of him there. So Threlkeld is going to have to find some speed that he doesn't currently have to try to get on that podium. But Sammy Yosef there still having a solid night after those incidents, currently running in third.
I mean, last lap Logan was about 0.8 of a second faster, so he could make a significant chunk take a little bit out of that gap. So we'll see if he can keep that up. But Logan has been fast in the road course racing. I got out one time, the first time I think I raced the road course with him, and he was laying down some unbelievable laps, and I said, "Wait, Logan, you're good at this." He's like, "Yeah, no, this is what I do." And so I think he does a really, really good job. He just gets himself into trouble quite a bit. I don't know if it's whether dealing with traffic has been an issue or more just trying to maybe drive a little bit too fast, kind of overdrive it a little bit, heat the tires up and end up spinning out, which he does a few times in races. So if he could ever get those mistakes down a little bit, he is a top 3 driver for sure. But he's always seeming to get caught up in stuff or his own mistakes. And I think, though, once he gets that figured out, gets that kind of locked down, like maybe tonight, as he blinks out a little bit, he can start having some better finishes. Because I think, finishes I think he definitely deserves.
Well, here's another interesting thing, which I don't know. So I'm starting to see a dry line on the track now. We have such a long pit lane here that I don't think it would be wise to come down and take dry tires because you're going to spend a lot of time just getting down through pit lane, not to mention how long it takes to change tires. So, I think these guys are kind of stuck with what they're running. But the one thing I don't know is the fuel calculations on the GTPs. Now, I do believe that the GTDs, the GT3 cars, can make it all the way. Not 100%, but I think they can make it all the way. Speaking of which, there you go, Jamie Lipke on pit lane. So I don't think these GTDs can make it. So this really could change things up. And I'm actually even more curious if anybody's even going to take dry tires on this stop.
Yeah, we'll see what Lipke decides to do here as we watch the car get serviced down on pit road. And takes about 22 seconds for the fuel and the tires to be completed. And then we'll see if Jamie took a different set of tires, and we'll take a look at the compound here. Jamie Lipke going out on dries. What do you think about that, kid?
Yeah, it's a risky move, but if you're going for a win, you're currently not on the podium. Why not? The question is she going to be able to stay on that dry line because it hasn't fully developed yet? You got to be really careful here on these painted sections. So you're on pins and needles. You can see that dry line there. You can see her running right where the track is dry. And when she gets into the corners here, this is where it gets a little dicey. Trying to make sure you stay in that line. You're not running the ideal racing line. You're running where that dry section is. And if you see the track get a little wet, you have to back it down and be very careful there. That's a very easy place to lose it there on the slicks, but she's doing a heck of a job so far.
Yeah, those curves make me nervous, and it seems like it's, I mean, obviously the slicks are cold, so they need to get up the temp as much as trying to stay in that dry line, but you can see it just babying it around the corners. So we'll see. We'll keep it all on Jamie here, just see how she handles this. You can see her staying in the dry line, so doing exactly what she needs to do. But, you know, you just always wonder. We saw that Porsche have that issue. You can see that spray coming out of the back end of that thing. We saw the Porsche in the high-speed corner just lose the back end. We'll see if that is a problem for Jamie. And kind of pay attention to those lap times. You can put dry tires on and make it around the track, Ken, but is it faster than the wet tires? Are you having to baby it too much? And at this point, it looks like it may not be ready for dry tires just yet.
Yeah, and I don't know. I like the risk, though, Eddie. So the one thing, you know, well, first of all, she's got to get the tires warmed up. But the other thing is the dry line, once you see that dry line develop, it will be faster, but significantly, probably only maybe by about 10 seconds once she gets the tires warmed up, as long as she doesn't make any mistakes here. But I kind of like this move, and if everybody's got a pit, and with such a long pit lane, then why not? Why not take the risk, and maybe you can pull off a historical defeat here over Reagan Carter, who's just been dominating this thing. So, you know, sometimes you got to take the risk. You know, sometimes racing there is some luck involved once in a while.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, Jamie was running in about the fifth position, gave up a spot. Maybe, actually, I think was still in sixth when that happened. But you can see right there, went wide there. We'll see. Tires should be getting up to temperature now. Now it's a very dangerous spot for slicks on a wet racetrack. Let's see how this goes. Oh, man.
Right here, that's going to be a slowdown penalty right there. So, well, you know, she didn't dump the car at least, you know, just drove it up the hill, going to have to serve that slowdown. That slowdown is not as significant as it used to be. In fact, Eddie, one of the interesting things about racing in the rain is when you do get a slowdown penalty, the way it's set up is it thinks you're racing in the dry, so you're not that fast anyway, so that ticker for serving your penalty goes really fast, and so you really don't have to slow down that much.
So far, so good for Jamie Lipke, who has been able to keep the car mostly on the track. It's just, we're going to see the lap time as she comes around and see if it's any faster or if it's just still too wet. But you can see the spray starting to go away, and you're right, that dry line. Now, how does dry line work in multi-class traffic? That's what I want to know. How far are you going to venture off of that dry line to make that pass?
Well, if you're in the GT3, if you're in the GTPs, you know, you're probably not going to venture off it, although we've seen Jamie just do that there. Of course, it's on the straightaway, but it is risky. You have to go a lot slower, but she's going to drive it off the track, so I think you can throw away that lap time right there. So this is the thing. I think, you know, she could have stayed in the dry line. She would have been faster, but all these little off tracks, and this is maybe the penalty you pay for getting on those dry tires, is the off tracks are now what's killing you as far as your lap times.
Yeah, we do have a limit of how many you can do. I do believe it's about 24 off tracks before you get a drop-through penalty. So you have to be careful to not get too many of those incidents. It can definitely affect your race and have you going down pit road losing even more spots. But right now, Jamie Lipke, only driver willing to take dry tires so far, and you know, just not paying off at the moment. But I'm with you. More I've watched her go around the track and be able to maintain at least the car on the track for the most part. I do like the decision to do it. Maybe the last couple laps or so can make up a good amount of time, and a couple mistakes from Jason Kristen could find herself in a top 5 situation.
Yeah, and the other thing is too, now these guys are starting to run on their wet tires in the dry, so those wet tires are getting hot, so it kind of starts escalating for them. Their lap times start really depreciating, while Jamie's lap times will start increasing. So You know, we talked about the merge point. Where's that merge point? I believe right now is probably where that merge point would happen. It's just Jamie's just got so much distance to make up, and whether she can do it or not.
Yeah, I don't really see too many folks that could benefit from that. Now we got to battle for the GT3 starting to pick up here as we're getting down to the end of this thing. Austin Cobb, Zachary Menace, and Timbo Parker are within a couple seconds of each other. So may have a little bit of battle for the GT3 second position. And I'm now convinced that damage is just visual on Zachary Menace. I went and looked at his the spotter guide to see if his paint's, purple went all the way down, or if it was a paint thing. But honestly, it looks like it's all toe up, but that car is still driving really good. 2 seconds faster than Austin Cobb last lap, is starting to put now pressure on that 42 machine.
And Austin Cobb is a very fast driver, so Zachary Menace has definitely found some speed in that machine. So able to pull away from Timbo Parker, who we talked about earlier, who is having to battle off or fend off there. And now Austin Cobb is going to try to have to fight off Zachary Menace there. So Austin Cobb, having a solid night. He's one of our previous race winners, but not having the night he probably wanted to have. We expected to see, we've seen it almost every race. The GT3 field, especially the top 3, top 5, have all just basically stuck together. Now we're watching them go through 10 and 11 there. And you just seen it there. Zachary Menace a little bit in the wet there, looking for taking a peek to the outside, coming into these big S turns here. And that Corvette is just
Reagan
wishing,
Carty's on pit road,
around.
Ken.
Yeah,
So
this is
the
what I thought. The GTDs can't make it.
Yeah, so they're coming down on the white flag lap to take the white flag and take fuel to be able to make it to the end. So interesting development. Wonder if anybody was able to save enough fuel. That could be an interesting, I think, as we got side by side for the second place between Austin Cobb and Zachary Menace. I think you'll still come down for just a splash of gas. I don't think you'll do any tire changes here on the final lap, but now we got a nice little battle here.
That's exactly what he did, by the way. While you're watching this battle, update on our leader, Reagan Carty. He did take fuel only. He's back out. I think we're not quite to the white flag, though, Eddie. Glove Station white flag will be next time by for Reagan Carty. So we still got another lap and a half or so to get this race in.
Yeah, these laps are super long, so got to have that fuel to be able to make it to the end for sure. But this is going to be a crazy battle. You can see, I think that might be Reagan. No, it's not. It's whoever, Elijah Toth. Yeah, Elijah Toth is behind him, who had a really good start to the race, but has not had a great second part as Austin Cobb. And look at the run that Menace is going to have right here. He's going to dive down to the inside, or to the left side, I guess. And Elijah's going to have to watch as a spectator as these two battle it out.
Yeah, and I was going to say that's very respectful driving by Toth right there. He's not battling anybody, but he's letting these two guys duke it out here at the end of the race here. These guys will be getting the white flag next time by, so he's just letting these guys get this battle settled, and Menace has got it. Menace has got the position over Cobb in what looks like a damaged Porsche. They go through a damaged car. I want to say it was J.R. Schoenberg. No, my mistake. I wasn't looking at the right relative.
Brock Price going the wrong way. He's driving the wrong way. What's he doing? Obviously having some sort of issues.
Yeah, just testing out the track limits there. No, I think he turned himself around there facing the wrong way, trying to get that car straightened back out. But you can see Menace now has opened up a gap over Cobb. So Menace there in that Porsche, that purple Porsche, doing a great job. I got to hand it out to him. I didn't expect that from Menace here tonight. It's up 3 positions on the night. What a solid drive.
No doubt about it. Well, Reagan Carty coming through the last few turns here.
White flag is out. Yeah, we got one more lap after this, Eddie. This is the white flag lap. And I know it gets confusing here. So the one thing about it, we don't get updates here, just to let folks know, when we're doing road racing on timed races. We don't get flag notifications, so we have to kind of look at the clock and figure out whether the white flag is out or not. And I can tell you right now, by the clock, the white flag is out, and he's you're looking at him trying to get this thing done. No more mistakes. Got a sizable lead. Nothing to worry about. Just don't do anything stupid.
Yeah. and he's done a great job of that so far. So no surprise there. Almost a minute lead over second place Samuel Joseph. Joseph has been able to take over the second place position as he has not yet come down pit road. So a little development in the GTPs here as he's coming to take the white flag. Can he make it on fuel? Brendan McDonald's already come down pit road. So has Lipke, Kristen, and Toth. But Logan Threlkeld and Samuel Joseph still out on track, so electing to not come down and get fuel. So maybe they saved enough. We'll see if they can make it to the end.
Yeah, I don't know. That's going to be interesting. I'm sure it's a nail biter for those guys. Wow. It'll be impressive if Samuel Joseph can pull off second place here by using fuel strategy. We've seen another race winner, Joshua Jackson in the GT3 field, did a fuel strategy move early this season at Fuji, able to pull off a win. Samuel Joseph now on that strategy, trying to pull off a second place finish here. Probably trying to nurse that thing here to the end. Back up front with Reagan Carty, our GT P leader. We talked about this before. He's dominated here a couple weeks ago, had some struggles last week, had a nice recovery, ended up finishing second there at Red Bull, but here he comes down through the last couple of chicanes, headed towards the front stretch here. Now, I believe they take the checkered after the next turn. It isn't here. No, I guess it is here. So this will end the race. So Reagan Carty will win this race here tonight in dominant fashion. Wow, what a craze. Now I'm really interested in Sammy Joseph there. So Sammy Joseph, can he make it to the end? He's going through the S's currently. Just taking a look at our leaders of the GT3 field. Fiamme Murita is going through the final chicane right now, about to take the checkered flag. So second place in the GT3 field is about to go to Kami.
I'll tell you what, that flag man is about the laziest flag man I've ever seen in my life. I mean, not even waving that thing. We're going to pay attention here to Joseph. Can he make it to the end? Well, he's sputtering, or he is really saving, yeah.
Yeah, very slow on the track, so it definitely looks like he's saving. I think he's going to make it. He should be able to coast right now. The question is, how much of a gap does he have over third place of Brennan?
I think he's out.
I think he is out. No, it looks like he's going to make it. So,
yeah, he's sputtering, but he's going to make it. He's trying to get it across the line. Yeah, he did. How about that?
Wow. Brendan McDonald will finish this thing in third. You see Brendan McDonald going by in that green John Deere machine. So congratulations to those top three. There you see Austin Cobb parked there. He'll grab third. And Zachary Meneses with an impressive run will finish second. Wow. Got to tell you, Eddie, that was quite the race here at Spa.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Great job by the admin setting up the racing with the rain coming through like that. Definitely made it interesting. Lots to talk about. Some drivers had some tough times, but, hey, look, it was a fun race to watch, and well-deserved winners, and no surprise, Reagan Carty and Kahame Marietta. Well, Ken, what do you think? We say we have a little stuttering session here, and then we go take a break, come back, talk
We've been doing that all night. I think we both need a break. So.
I miss Jacob so bad. All right, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back. Y'all don't go anywhere.
Superior quality, ultimate protection, and the highest level of craftsmanship. We make our gloves for the hard worker that wakes up every morning and gives 110%. You deserve the highest quality protective gear that's going to work for you, day in, day out. We know it can be tough deciding what companies to trust for your hard-earned money. It's all in our name. We've mastered our craft to help you master yours. We make our gloves rugged, durable, and designed for you. Whatever the job is, we have you covered. We are your glove station.
A thriving job market and low cost of living, plus a wide range of veteran benefits, make Indiana the perfect place for veterans of the United States military to call home. InVets can help you find that home. We're an organization started by veterans to help former service members transition to civilian life in our state. InVets can help you find the community with the career opportunities, housing, schools, and amenities that fit your lifestyle. To learn more about InVets, visit us at invets.org today.
We are back live at Spa. What an exciting finish to the race. Of course, it stopped raining. You can see the sunshine is now out on the track once again, but these drivers had to deal with some issues out here tonight with the rain. It was a lot of fun to watch. And of course, Reagan Carty will win this thing here tonight in first place there. You see it there. Gets his second win on the season. Sammy Yosef with the drive, a nice strategy call there. On fuel, runs it out at the end there, will finish second. Brendan McDonald will finish third. Logan Threlkeld fourth. Jamie Lipke fifth. Jason Kristen will finish sixth. Elijah Toth will finish seventh. and I'm trying to find the other one. There he is. Bill Milfold will finish seventh. And yeah, I'm just looking at my relative there, Eddie. I'm a little screwed up there. So, but that's your 8-car GTD field.
In the GT3, oh my gosh, Yame Marietta takes the victory with Zachary Menace in second, Austin Cobb in third, Timbo Parker in fourth. Joshua Jackson comes home in fifth, somebody we really didn't talk about much tonight, but had a great race. J.R. Schomburg in sixth, Brock Price in seventh, Alexander Sexhauer in eighth, Nicholas Myers in ninth, John Houchin rounds out the top 10. In 11th is DJ Patterson, Daniel Schmall, these disconnected. Sedarius Days, Anna Softic, Brandon Ribeiro, and Corinne Smith round out your GT3 field.
Wow, I don't think either one of us were drinking tonight, Eddie. But I don't know. To the people that were watching are like, man, what are these guys doing in the booth tonight? But I'll tell you what we're doing. We're having fun, and these guys out on track, we're having a lot of fun tonight. So let's talk to our race winner. Hey, Reagan Carty, this is Ken Huber and Eddie Smith in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, hello.
Hey, second win of the season. Great job out there tonight. What were the conditions out there, and what was your strategy coming into the race tonight?
Oh man, it was honestly I thought it was going to be raining at the start, but when I saw that it was going to be pretty dry, and especially with all the practice and qualifying before, I was like changing between whether I do the wet setup first or the endurance, and it seems like the endurance one worked out pretty fine.
Yeah, it absolutely did. Really putting on a clinic to those guys. You know, I was watching you in practice, and you and Brandon McDonald were really fast. Brandon McDonald seemed to be a little faster in the rain, but once you guys started racing the rain, it seemed like you still had the speed edge out there. Then we got towards the end of the race, and one of the things I was talking to Eddie about here, my co-commentator here in the booth, was whether you guys were going to have to do that second stop or not. And then, of course, the guy behind you, Sammy Yosef, was able to get that second place finish on fuel strategy. Were you kind of hoping that white flag would fall a lap early so you didn't have to come in and top off?
Yeah, absolutely. I was just trying to proper gun it all the way, and then I was like only zero point 0.9 laps of fuel left, so I was like, I can't risk that, especially around Spa.
Well, absolutely. Well, it was fun watching you here tonight. Who do you have to thank for getting you this win here?
Once again, massive thanks to Throttleworks Racing for letting me race under their name again with the nice livery that they've got, and shout out to Lincoln Tech, Save 22, uh, MK Fire Design, and ZAT Graphics, Indiana Department of Veterans Affairs, Iron Vets, and ATYL for putting on this league.
All right. Well, there you have it. That was Reagan Carty, tonight's race winner in the GT. Man, I still can't talk yet, Eddie, and I've
Yeah, we're
had a break
struggling.
here.
Maybe it's raining in our
It's-
brains. I think that's what's
uh,
happening.
well, that happens all the time.
Well, I got Kahame Marietta, your GT3 series or division winner. And man, what a fantastic race! I mean, not without issues with the rain, but talk me through your race. How was it out there with the different changing track conditions?
It's definitely comes with its challenges. Off the start, getting the slowdown up El Rouge, putting me back down into P4. The start's not really ideal for the game plan that I have coming into it. But with the changing track conditions, it's really tough. Pitted a little earlier than I wanted to, just because it's endurance pits and the pit lane is really, really long. And then had a big enough gap where I didn't have to come in for dries at all at the end to hold off some people.
Yeah, it seemed like early on it was a struggle, but then you really got into a groove. Do you attribute that to what the fact that the Porsche, if drives really good in the wet? Although you had a hell of a moment in Eau Rouge where you almost lost it and saved it. I kind of want to talk about that actually because I thought you were a goner and you somehow hung on to that thing. Were you surprised by that or what happened there? What was going through your mind?
I am actually really surprised that I did that. What I find in like the Porsche, especially like in the rain, if you hold the brakes at like 50% and mash the throttle, TC will take care of the rest and somehow straighten you out. So that's what I was doing right there, and it
Yeah.
somehow worked. So
The old
but it was
iRacing
definitely
2-foot smash.
yeah, I watched a video for how to drive this track in the rain, and one of the pros was going over the curb, and I tried it, and I was like, I'm not good enough for this. So ran out of a little talent right there, but
Well, you had plenty enough talent to win by over 32 seconds, and another win for you. Congratulations. Who do you have to thank?
I have to thank MK Fire Designs and Zach Graphics, Lincoln Tech, Save 22, Indiana Department of Veteran Affairs, InVet, and ATYL for putting this on for us tonight. And I just want to say a big thank you to y'all for putting this on, and it was really fun.
All right. Well, there you have it. Second place, Kame Marietta, or second place. First place in the GT3 series. And Ken, please take it away from me, and let's talk to the second place.
Oh, I don't know that
Samuel
I'm going to do
Yosef.
better, but let's talk to Samuel Yosef. Samuel Yosef, this is Ken Huber and Eddie Smith in the booth. Do you have a copy?
Hey guys.
Well, you pulled off quite a move there with fuel strategy. Um, was that kind of your plan? That whole second stint was try to make it to the end there.
It started out with me having to pit. When I left. So the way it worked out is Logan was so close to me that I kind of just said, "Screw it. If I pit, I lose. I lose a podium." So I was going to stay out as long as I could. But luckily, with the rain, I was lifting enough that it was just slowly and slowly coming down in terms of how short I was. And when Reagan pitted, it solidified me having just enough fuel to make it to the end. So it was a shot in the dark, but I didn't want Logan to get the podium over me. So I kind of was running on spite at that point.
Well, yeah, no, you did a great job, and that was a great call. We were kind of wondering about that here in the booth here, how that was all going to shake out. But hey, at the start of the race, especially when it started raining there, you had some struggles out there, and you actually found yourself kind of running up front, some drivers spinning out in front of you, and you're having your own struggles out there. Talk about what the track was like driving out there in the rain.
Yeah. I, the one thing I love about iRacing ever since I've started is that they've done a really good job simulating as close as possible to real life conditions. So when we started, the track was probably 75, a little bit hot, and we ran a good 20, 25 minutes with rubber being put down. And then when the rain comes down with all that slick rubber, and now we have wet tires, it's just an ice rink, and you're just trying to find the grip. And you know, changing traction control in the car and just trying to find that grip was a struggle. But once I kind of found the areas, especially through Eau Rouge and whatnot, I felt that I had Logan and Jamie at one point. I kind of like I had a hand against them, just making sure that they weren't getting too close. But it was an ice rink out there. But it's a credit to iRacing and how they really model this stuff.
Well, great job on that second place finish. Why don't you tell us who you have to thank for getting you here tonight?
Yeah, Jam Printing and Promotions, the MK Fire Designs and Zach Graphics, V Speeds, Alexander PCs, Cruising Classics, and GTR Simulators. And then a quick shout out to Team TWR. Came with the 1-2-3 tonight, and I believe a couple of our boys got GT3 podiums. So good night for us.
Great job. We'll look forward to seeing what you can do next week there, Samuel.
See you guys.
Oh, we're almost done with this there, Eddie. Why don't you talk to the guy that was missing a front bumper for half the race?
Yeah, we wondered if it was a visual bug or what, but Zachary Menace in the booth with us. Zachary, I mean, incredible race, great finish, second place here tonight. It was chaotic out there, but you were able to hang on, dodge some of the chaos. It seems maybe not all of it because it seemed like you were missing a front bumper, but you're able to bring it home a second with a nice battle there at the end, able to get Austin Cobb. Talk about your race, man. How was it going out there?
It started off pretty good. I was just kind of riding around. I could tell I had a higher rear wing than the cars in front of me. They were pulling away on the straights, and I was kind of just holding steady in the turns. And I'm like, well, hopefully, it comes back around to me when it rains. And turns out, that setup didn't really correlate to the rain because I think I slid like a lap out of the pits, and then I slid again. And I think that second spin is what took my front bumper. And it's weird. I lost my front bumper and I had more grip. I don't know, but caught up to Cobb, and that was a really good battle. I kind of made an ambitious send to the outside. Thought we might get collected there, but we kept it clean. And it's just this league. We get hard racing up at the front. That's nice and clean, except for when I clipped the grass into turn one at Imola.
Well, it was a lot of fun watching you guys there at the end, and came home with the second place finish. Zach, who do you have to thank for the second place here tonight?
Second place. Looks like I want to thank Jam Printing and Promotions tonight. V Speed, obviously, they're able to put on these awesome broadcasts for us. Alexander PCs, they help with the Simrig giveaways, Cruising Classics, GTR Simulators, my race team, Throttle Works Racing. We all help each other get ready for these races, and they helped me learn a lot in these recent weeks here.
Well, all right, there you have it. Second place, Zachary Menace in the GT3, and Ken, we've reached the end of this one.
Thank God. And, I hope we can get it together for next week. Of course, my broadcast partner will be back next week, I think, Jacob Linke. But we are going to do 2 hours of Silverstone next week. So better get suited up for that one, Eddie.
Cannot wait. Well, I want to say thank you to everybody that watched. It suffered through it, I guess. I don't know, but we appreciate y'all. Hope y'all had a great time. I think it was a fantastic race. What we lacked maybe this week, we definitely was made up for on the track with the drivers. Got to thank Patrick Dravitt. Got to thank Jamie Barkus, all those that put in work, all of race control, everybody in the broadcast team, and everybody at home watching, all the sponsors and partners that Goat Locker has. Could not do it without those as well. It's a massive, massive machine now, and boy, we could not do it without the men and women that make this thing up. So, well, we move on to next week. We'll take a look at the schedule real quick, and we're going to have 2 hours of Silverstone next week. Then we go to the Temple of Speed there, Ken, and go to Monza. It's going to be a lot of fun.
It absolutely is. And, I'm always looking for that 2-hour race. I don't know if you remember, I did that 2-hour broadcast by myself here a season or two ago. And so I'm lucky to have a couple of guys with me here that know what they're doing.
Well, we're going to call it a night. I'm Eddie Smith. Sitting beside me is Ken Huber. And, hey, we're going to call it quits here tonight. Y'all have a wonderful night. We'll see you next week.
Good night, everyone.